are back. What's up, Co-Labbers?
What's going
on? And my beautiful, beautiful partner, Shawna. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing? I'm so happy to be here today.
Are you happy to be here?
I am. I'm excited. We're talking about one of my favorite. This is another one of my favorite topics.
Another one.
Another one.
Yes. This is episode 105, and this episode is called RelationSHIFTs. Relationships. But before we get into this episode, we're going to talk a little bit about our last episode, which was called what, Shawna?
Well, that was called Dreamers. What the heck are you waiting for? Okay. And that was with our special. Yep. So that was with our special guest, Yvonne Winfrey. She was amazing. Talked about the film project she has coming out called White Vinegar. We had 2 of her crew that joined us, and we asked you all out there. It was awesome. It was I mean, I had so many. We had such great feedback on her story and what she shared is so inspirational.
Yes.
And we asked you all out there, do one small thing to work towards your dream. So Dee, what did you do?
Well, what I did is I said, what would Yvonne do? And what I did was I actually wrote down what I wanted to accomplish this year. So I wrote down from a personal perspective, professional perspective, what I wanted to work on this year. And for me, that's tied to also like my mission and vision for my life is tied to my values. And so that's what I wrote. That's what I did. Okay. What about you? What did you tackle? Your one thing you tackled.
I wasn't as, it wasn't as involved as yours. I mean, maybe I should do that.
We said one thing.
I went to New York City. To meet up with 2 of my favorite people. So we can work on this podcast right here. So that for me was right. We had such a great time. I got to meet Yvonne in person for the first time. All this time we've been working virtually. So, virtual is amazing, but there's nothing like that in-person energy. And it was just as amazing.
That's right. Now see, I feel like now that's so much. I feel like so much time has went by because things happen every day. Life be life. But yes, that was an amazing trip.
Yeah, that was
Yvonne
great.
Came from the West Coast to the East Coast.
Yeah.
And we had a chance to get together. That was a good one, Shawna.
So that's what I did.
That was a good one. Awesome. So this week, guys, we are at episode 105. And the title of this episode is called RelationSHIFTs. Relationships.
Okay, I see what you did there, Dee.
Yeah, we're shifting. Yes. And the reason why is we've all, viewed this week what has happened between Diddy and Cassie and the abuse in that relationship. But, what are we about? We're about positivity. So we decided to take all of that negativity and actually shift it into what we desire in relationships, right? The positive things and the things that we should be aspiring to. That's why we're calling this episode RelationSHIFTs, because we're shifting to that greater and better relationship. What you got, Shawna?
That's right. I love that. And, honestly, I think, we've all been through negative relationships or have had toxic relationships, but you have to go through these experiences to get to where you want to be or, to reach those relationship goals. I also say you don't know what good looks like if you don't experience the bad. Right. You can't appreciate
or if you don't have examples. Right. Exactly. A lot of us don't have examples. Yeah.
That's true. And you can't appreciate the good if you haven't experienced it. But I feel like I appreciate my relationship so much more because of what I've gone through and my experience. So
absolutely. That's awesome. So let's get into it.
All right. So let me ask you a question. Tell me what good looks like for what does good look like for you? What in your mind? What are the good aspects of the best aspects of a healthy relationship?
Oh, okay. So for me, it is communicate. I am a communicator. Like I love to talk to my mate. I love to talk. So if somebody shuts me out or shuts down, that is like the worst thing you could probably do. One of the worst things you could do. So I like someone who I can talk to, someone who is a confidant, right? I like to be able to go to my partner and talk about, oh, I have this thing that I'm dealing with. Like, how would you approach it? So communication for me is one of my top things.
Mm,
It's one of my top things. What
okay.
about you?
I can definitely go to communication, but for me, I can four things that are to me important in any relationship, whether it be with, a friend, a sister, a husband, any relationship. To me, the four pillars of a healthy relationship are communication, trust, friendship, and respect. I feel like if you have those things in a relationship, then in any relationship, and I will say this, that I have harped on this probably in the last 10 years. We tend to take for granted the people that are closest to us. I feel like it should be the opposite, that we should take the utmost care and consideration with those that
For
we
real.
love, we say we love. I'm talking thank you. I'm talking about I please, thank you, like all of that stuff that we tend to give to strangers, we don't even do for those that we say we love.
That's interesting. And why don't you think that happens? But what's funny though? I thought, because when you started saying your four pillars, the first thing that came in my mind, and I thought it was going to be one of your four, and I'm wondering why it wasn't, is safety. Safety. Because like, what is safety? Then I'm not saying physical safety, right? Because yes, we need that, right? We need to feel physically safe, but just like emotional safety, right? And I guess maybe that's tied to trust. Like, who has time to be going through somebody's phone at night, or like I know women that actually wait till their mates fall asleep.
I cannot.
And they go through the phones.
Let me
like safety, like if you make me feel safe, and like I don't have that to worry about, man, I'll multiply all
I love that.
everything good that you give to me. You know what I mean? So like safety,
I love that.
I thought she was gonna say safety, because I feel like that's something that we would probably have in common.
Well,
I know it's up there though. I know it's up there.
No, but can let me tell you how I approach coming out of a really bad relationship going into the one I'm in now. I said from the beginning, right? If someone wants to cheat, there is literally nothing you can do about it. You have zero control over what someone else does. My way of remedying that, I said, I'm gonna give 110% to the relationship that I'm in. And if that's not good enough and a person still feels like they have to step out of the relationship, I'm okay with letting it go. No, I'm okay with letting it go. It's all right. It's like, you know what? That person, obviously I've given all that I can give, and it's not enough. So we need to go our separate ways. And that's really how I went and approach my relationship that I'm in now. But I feel like those four pillars bring you that security that you're looking for. But there's no such thing as promises. You just got to be in the moment. You got to enjoy the relationship for what it is and be present in that relationship. And I agree. That's what breaks a relationship down. There's too many distractions. There's too many things pulling our attention away from the person right in front of us,
And social media actually can really, I feel like if you are not grounded in what you just said, in terms of the two people, and you're looking at what everyone else is doing in their relationship, or you're calling someone else, and what you see on social media, relationship goals, when you don't know what's going on in that household, you know what I mean? The one thing I feel like the most freeing thing for me in terms of relationships was letting go of what I thought other people wanted from me, or thought I should do, or like what's going to make me happy. Like that is the most freeing thing, is like what works for you and me. We're in this relationship. What works for you and me?
Right. Nobody else is in it.
Nobody else is in this relationship. And so, a lot of us go into relationships and we try to do what society says we should do, what our family thinks we should do, what other friends are doing, instead of thinking like in terms of, okay, what's going to make Diamia happy? What's going to make me happy? What's going to make Chris happy? Like, what do we want to see in our relationship? And I think that's where that brings us back to communication, right? It's like really talking to each other about what fulfills us, right? Yes. Because the other thing I believe is that if someone you're in a relationship with isn't growing you and making you better, then really you can be by yourself. I know I could. Like I could absolutely be by myself. I love me. I love myself. And that's a part of it too, though, right? I feel like, the one thing that I don't like, and I've had friends that have done this in my lifetime, is where they, and you said this, Shawna, it's like your identity is tied to this person you love.
Yes, yeah.
And I've never been that person. And I'm always wonder, how do you get there? How does that happen? I just can't relate to it. But it drives me crazy. Like, how do you ground who you are is just about what this person needs you to be, or what they like or dislike. And you forget everything you were before that.
Right. Yeah. You can't do that. I don't think you could do that.
It's unhealthy. It's unhealthy. You know what I mean? Like, you should still have your friends. You should still be able to have time for yourself with the other people that you love. It's not just this one person you love,
Right.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And what I will say is, so I think you brought up something that's very important and crucial, because we've mentioned it in other episodes. It's that self-love, that self-worth, right? You got to be grounded in who you are, right? To have that healthy, because you can easily get lost
what it is.
in another person, right? Their stuff can become more important than because if you don't know what you want out of life, if you don't know what's important to you, you can absolutely get lost in what someone else likes, because it might be stronger. I know in my previous relationship, I was young, right? So what that person wanted, they were older than me, seemed more important, because I wasn't sure what I wanted. I wasn't sure of who I was as a person at that point. I wasn't a woman. Let me just say that. I wasn't a woman. And I think, through going through that experience, and then it helped me to realize what I didn't want. Right. It helped me realize what I didn't want in a relationship. And then when I was ready to move on into the next phase of my life, and I will really say in my current relationship, I was learning, and we were learning and growing together, right? I had a lot more learning and growing to do, but to have that freedom and space, right? Where I'm with somebody and just say, like, you do you. You know what I mean? Is that what you want?
I love that.
You're happy. And I'm just like, I don't know. Will that be? I don't know. Right. And I was just like, dang, I gotta have my own thoughts. I gotta do my own stuff. Right. Figure it out. Like, what do you want? And just to give me that space, I will say that it was a very scary feeling, but it was I will say that I felt like in this relationship, I went from a caterpillar to a butterfly.
Oh, it's so cute. It's
kind of corny, but
it's cute. That is so key and very critical, what you just said, Shawna. And the way you talk about your relationship, and how you look when you talk about your relationship, that's what a positive relationship, I feel like, should do for you, right? And the things that you said before are all the things that I'm not going to say I got it down. There's things that I still have to remind myself of, like what you said about appreciating those closest to us, saying please and thank you on a day-to-day. Like, those are things that I definitely don't remember to do all the time. And I know I don't hear them all the time either. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, how do we remind ourselves to truly appreciate those people that are closest to us, that we love the most? What's a reminder? Because I don't think that, we're bad people.
No,
you want to love your mate the best that you can love them, right? Because they deserve it, and because you deserve it. So, like, what are some of the things that we can do to remind ourselves? Like, how do we, reaffirm our relationships and the people in our relationships every day?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, what I try to keep in mind, that we go out into the world, and you're dealing with we're up against so much,
especially our Black men.
Yes, when we leave our house. So I'm just like,
we do too. Black women too.
Yeah, both of us, Black women, Black children, just the world, like life, like you said, life be life. Okay, we all going through it, and I feel like when you come home, you want that to be your sanctuary. So I really just keep that in my mind. This is our peace. This is our sanctuary. This is where we come to feel safe and loved. And I just keep in mind, I just want to wrap the people closest to me in that love. And I want them to feel that so they can go back out and be filled, like fill their cups up. And I want to feel that too. You know what I mean? And I think, what does that look like in an everyday relationship? It's, I'll give a random, back massage, or, I still bring, I bring a meal. I like to cater to, and even with my kids, I still very much like we're cuddling. We have our cuddle time, and just finding ways to. Now, Toriana will tell me all day long that I'm a mean mommy because I don't let her get away with everything. But I don't. No matter what, I'm giving the hugs and kisses, and even if I have to be stern in the moment, I'm letting her know how much I love her. You know what I mean? So.
But even, that's another thing, right? It's a different dynamic when you do have kids to be able to get that time with your mate that you need, right? You get caught up in the day to day, right? Like you said, you go out into the world, you battle it out in the world, you come back into the home, and to switch off just like that sometimes is hard and difficult. I mean, two people really have to be on the same accord to know that when we step foot back in our home, right, that this is a safe space, and we have to take that armor off, right? And that goes back to, that loving each other, loving yourself, and wanting to I feel like you have to be intentional about all these things. So when people say relationships are work, some people say, oh, relationships shouldn't be hard. It shouldn't be hard, but I think it takes intentionality, to create that space for each other that you want and your family,
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I think that is, that's kind of what I hear you saying. And I couldn't agree more.
Well, and I think one, intentional is the key word right there. It does take intention. And what I will say, you just said something very important. Our kids are not listening to what they say. They're watching what we do. And if we want our girls, because I know we have girls, if we want our girls to see what healthy looks like, we have to show that to them every day. They have to live in that environment. So I keep that in mind too, because I raised two girls in an unhealthy relationship, and I know what that looks like. So so that's why I'm
and the effect that it can have.
And it can have a negative effect just to be in that space. Talk about feeling unsafe, and it's not that anything's happening to them, but just what's happening in the relationship, right?
And what they see you allowing to happen.
Exactly, and that sends a message. And I had to go through therapy to honestly realize this. That by them watching me, they're learning what they should allow, how they should allow themselves to be treated. And once I learned that, I was like, okay, I have to, once I understood that, I knew I had, I had to change my behavior. I had to change what I was doing, and I had to be more intentional.
So I love the conversation so far, and we're just going to talk a little bit more. We're going to get a little deeper into relationships and what made us feel good. How do we know? Like, how do we know? We're both in relationships. Right? You're a little further along in your relationship. And we talked about this before. I was there at the beginning. I know what you felt in the beginning, but I'm going to let you talk about it. But for me, I think, well, first, to go back to what you said, I needed to be healthy. I needed to be healthy. And I realized for myself, and this goes for all the listeners out there that were in unhealthy relationships and leaving those relationships, please, men, women, give yourself some time. Give yourself a beat to get healthy, right? So for me, I needed to know and understand for myself that I was okay being alone. And while I was alone, I was assessing me, right? And understanding me and what I liked and what I didn't like, what made me tick, right? So that when that man came along, I already knew and understood what I wanted, and I knew exactly what I didn't want, right? But someone who would come into my life and not try to change me, basically, someone that was able to come into my life and make me feel so much warmth and so much love right? I talk about how, even when you disagree, the disagreements are different. You disagree and, you feel like you walk away like, oh, okay. You don't walk away on 10 or on fire. Like that was totally different. That was totally different for me, like that ability to still feel, comfort and safe even after a disagreement or in a disagreement and know that you're still loved, that for me was, amazing. I think that feeling that you get when you just, and understand that someone cares for you,
Yeah.
And I recognize and realize that not everyone has the ability to feel like that. People fall for someone for the wrong reasons, or they get into relationships for the wrong reasons. And it's just that ability to sort of know that person is there for you, right? And you're there for that person.
Yeah.
And you start to imagine like what your life would and could be like with that person. Like that's how it sort of happened for me. It's like you start to want to be in that person's space because of the way they make you feel in that space. Like, come on now. I'm reliving it. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I'm listening to you and I'm feeling that warmth. Honestly,
yes.
Like, giving me chills, So, and I know,
especially like you said, like you coming off of a bad situation.
Yeah.
You know what good feels like.
You do.
You know what good feels like. When you come off of a bad relationship, you know what good feels like. And when you get that feeling, you like, yes.
Yeah, I don't want to let
this
that
is what
go,
it is.
Right?
I ain't letting that go.
Right, exactly. I'm telling you. And I will say that I was at a point where I was ready to give up. I was like, you know what?
On what?
On love. I kid you not. I was like, I kid you not. I was dating for a few minutes when you talk about giving it time. I gave it some time. I dated a few people. And just to
did you give it some? Were you alone at any point?
I was alone for a little while, and then I dated literally like 2 people prior to getting into a long-term relationship. But when after that second person, I was just like, nah, I don't know if love is a real thing. I was just I wasn't feeling a connection. I said maybe it's just a biological thing. What is love really? I was like,
he did a number.
I was getting into the science of love. It was crazy. But then
he did another one,
I'm telling you. So then, I got into this. So the person I'm, my husband now, my hubby, he reached out to me. We were childhood friends. We grew up with each other. We were each other's first kiss when we were like 4 and 5. Okay, 4 and 5 years old.
Fresh stuff.
And then I know. He always said that she led me into. It was my fault.
You wooed him.
I guess so. I don't know. I don't remember that, but that's what he tells me. But we reconnected through Facebook, right? And then we decided to meet up. It was literally just like, oh my God, we haven't seen each other in so long. Let's make a plan. And we made a plan. He met me in New York. And Dee, when I tell you, we talked for hours. We sat there. We went from one restaurant.
That's when right?
In Brooklyn, and then from there we went to a bar and we sat and talked some more. And it was just as soon as he left. Let me tell you what. As soon as he left, so we have a mutual friend. His cousin is my best friend. As soon as he left, I text her. I said, "Is it weird that I want to marry him and have his kids?" That was literally my text.
What?
I'm not even, and I was like, oh my God, this is a real thing. It was so.
You knew it.
Just knew it. And I was like, when people talk about knowing it, I did not think that was real, but it's a real
thing. Then you believe in soulmates.
I do.
You believe in soulmates?
Absolutely. We were made for each other. Like,
oh my God.
I always felt like I was too much for people. I'm just going to say it. I felt like I was too much. I'm too talkative. I'm too loud. I'm too colorful.
But y'all opposite though.
We are. He is. I don't know. but that's what I'm saying. So opposites attract.
But
all the sayings are true. Opposites attract. Okay. And
And
we're
that's
made
funny
for each
because
other.
we are not the same either. We are totally, me and my partner are
To
not
keep it
the
interesting,
same.
it keeps it interesting, right?
That's true.
And sometimes you find that person that has something that you want or you feel like
Or
you lack.
that's right.
That I feel like I need, and we're
your
able to
strengths.
give that to one another.
Yes,
Yeah. And
absolutely.
so
It's like the pieces
Mhm.
of a puzzle. It's like,
It
but you
is.
know, the funny thing is, you don't, I mean, I'm not, we still talk about hair. So, oh, yeah, like, you don't know all of, like, I didn't know all
No.
of that in the
Right.
beginning. I didn't know
Right.
all of that. I didn't know everything that I was missing,
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
knew what I had and what I didn't want again, but I didn't know everything I was missing because I think I'm pretty dope. So, so I didn't know all that I was missing, but it's like when you find that person and when you start lifing together, you start doing life together, it becomes very clear, you know, how someone can actually, when they say someone can come into your life and you know, fill in those holes, it becomes clearer like, oh, wow, this is what it is. This is what that
Yes.
means.
So Dee, I know that, I shared that I dated a couple people though before I got into a long-term relationship. And you shared with me in the past that you actually went without dating anyone. Do you feel like that's a healthier way to approach
I mean,
kind of
for
approach
me,
coming out of a bad relationship? Yeah.
for me, it was, you're right. I'm not going to dictate what's, you know, what would be the best for someone else. But for me, you know, I needed the time, you know, I knew that I wasn't at the place where I wanted to be able to receive what I know that I deserve and what I wanted. And so I chose to be alone. And it really does amaze me how many people, women and men, just don't take the time to be alone. That's why I asked you, like, were you alone? Did you date? Because sometimes people, you know, what's that saying? Some people really believe the best way to get over one person is to get up under another, right? And like, you never heard that before? Oh, just me.
Okay.
I don't know. But yes, people really do, you know, that's where the term rebound come from. Rebound relationships, right? Because they use someone else to get over what they were just in. And that was not what I wanted. And the reason why is because I was ready for, you know, the person that I was gonna be with, right? And so I wasn't looking to pacify myself. Right. If I'm going to feel whatever I'm going to feel, I'm going to feel it. I'm going to go through it. And in that time, I'm going to get stronger and become better. So when that person comes into my life, then I'm ready. I was ready. I was ready. You know, like I didn't want anything else. I was comfortable in myself and learned to love myself and the things about myself. And I was ready for that person to come into my life and accept me, you know, for who I am, where I am in my life.
Yeah, and honestly, it can feel like you're dying. I want to say after a breakup and you're going through that period,
heartbreak.
It feels like you're dying. I actually was just talking to a family member of mine who's going through a breakup, and I was kind of counseling her through this breakup, and I understand what she felt like. I was feeling her feelings. It's very difficult, and I could see why people get into these rebound relationships. It's a very easy way just to. I just want the sadness to go away. I just want the hurt to go away. And that I'd say that if you stick it out and you can get to the other side of that, you'll be so much better for it. So what I'm going to say to our listeners today on this, conversation about RelationSHIFTs, right? Shift your way of thinking and then shift your way of thinking and focus on the inside, focus internally and work on loving yourself, because to me that is the key to it all. No matter what relationship we're talking about, I mean, we all love to love and be in these romantic relationships, but the more you love yourself, the first love is us. That's our first love. Amen. And everything else will be beautiful and grow. Something beautiful will grow from there. So I'm going to say the one challenge for you is to do something to show self-love, right? Whether it be a bubble bath, whether it be just to go watch a movie by yourself, whether it be to journal, go for a walk, anything that brings you joy and peace. Dancing, like I will dance in a minute. I will dance in a room by myself. I just need some music, and that brings me so much joy. So if that's what makes you happy, do that. And as Dee said, date yourself.
Date yourself.
Date yourself.
Thank you for joining us for episode 105, RelationSHIFTs. We're looking forward to how you shift your thinking and how you love on yourself. Until the next episode, please watch out and join us on IG at Co-Labbin_podcast. And, we'll see you next time. So, Shawna, you gotta give me that oil you use for the massages. You gonna share that with me? What you doing?